Moving on. Janine Ron says, congratulations, it's 2016. Oh, it's kind of related, I guess. And your team has won the presidency and a majority of both houses. You don't have the Supreme Court, and you will never, ever, ever have the media. After the midterm elections, you might not even have that two-house majority. So, what are you going to do to fix things in the 2 years you've got? Let me go to the one thing that sticks in that question like a thorn for me, and that is the never, never, never have the media part. I'm not talking about me personally. I'm saying this could apply to anybody. Apparently, by the way, somebody just said it was Sherman who said if nominated. It was William. It was William Tecumseh Sherman. He was so heavily recruited. Beg your pardon. It wasn't. I don't think it was LBJ. In any event, what would I do? Well, first of all, I don't buy this thing about you'll never ever ever have the media, because you don't understand the media. The media is not in love with Democrats, and the media is not even in love with liberalism or progressivism. Listen carefully, because it's very important. What the media really is in love with, what the press is really in love with, is they're in love with rhetorical intelligence. They're in love with cleverness. They're in love with image. They're in love with style. They're in love with wit. They're in love with elegance. Everything that the media is attracted to is something that raises them up. In other words, they're attracted to, I'm sitting here in a chair with the most powerful man in the world, also the handsomest, also the most glamorous, also the funniest, also the most sharply dressed. That's what they're interested in. They're not interested in necessarily in the politics. They tell themselves their stories about how they're doing good for the poor, even though they enslave them at their cocktail parties. But what they really, really, really want out of a politician, what the media wants out of a politician, is they want Kennedy. They want Kennedy. And I don't blame them. I would watch Kennedy making self-deprecating remarks at a press conference, and you just fall in love with it. You fall in love with somebody who's so confident about themselves and about their intelligence, about their achievements, that they can laugh at themselves. They make jokes about themselves. That is confidence, and it's elegance, and it's style, and it's all the things that the media is madly in love with, because this is what they see reflected in themselves. They don't see reflected in themselves acorn. They don't see acorn reflected in themselves. They don't want to bask in the glory of handing out forms. They want glamour. They want the glamour. They want to be seen. Katie Couric lives to be seen interviewing not just the president. This is the thing you have to understand. Not just the president. They don't want to be seen as interviewing George Bush, who they see to be much stupider than they are. They don't think George Bush can hold a candle to Katie Couric is convinced she's far smarter than George Bush. She'd be in for a rude surprise. What they want is they want to be in the company of somebody. They want to be in the company of movie stars. They want to be around George Clooney. They want to be around somebody who's handsome and clever and quick with a phrase and could drop a little French on something, or knows how to go up and say to somebody and greet somebody in perfect Japanese and nod. And the press just goes nuts over this. They just, oh my God, he's so smart, he's so worldly, so traveled, just like me. Reagan did it. Reagan had so much natural charm that even though Reagan was the antithesis of most media's politics, they couldn't resist his charm. And what came down to his charm, what Reagan's charm ultimately came down to, was the confidence to have fun with himself. I almost said the confidence to play with himself, and I'm going to go ahead and say that because despite the kind of snarky response to that, but that's really what it comes down to: the confidence to have fun with themselves, to play with their own image. The classic Reagan example, of course, is it was after the first debate in '84, I guess it was, where he was really, really, really off his game, and people would say he's too old and senile, and Reagan uncorks that line. It's like, I would just like to say on the question of age, I will not allow my opponent's youth and inexperience to become a factor in this campaign. Something almost virtually that. And the press, and even Mondale laughed, because it was so much what they want. They want rhetorical glory. They want rhetorical finesse. It's like watching a basketball game to them. People who can speak well, people who can turn a phrase, people who can get off a joke, people who can think on their feet. the press worship. They get down and worship them like a god, like a golden statue. I've seen it hundreds of times in hundreds of places from high to low. When a politician is able to come back with a snappy response that makes a reporter laugh, that reporter is in that person's pocket. I'm telling you, they are. And it's about vanity. It's about the media's own image of themselves. No longer as sort of the arbiters of truth, no longer as the messengers of objective truth. No longer they're no longer the dogged gumshoe cub reporter with a little press pass in his hat, digging around in the dark and breaking this. They're not about that anymore. They are the media today in 21st century America. The media is the palace guard of elitism. Now we're really getting to it. They're the palace guard of elitism. And what they want is they want that elitist vibe. And I'm telling you that a president who was a rock-solid conservative, who believed in the common people, and who despised elitism, as I do, I despise them. I despise elitists. A person who could make a reporter laugh at their own elitism, a person who could through self-deprecation, make people laugh about their own backgrounds, that person will have the media, Janine. They will. They'll have them. They really will. So if it's 2016 and I've just won the presidency and a majority in both houses, I don't have the Supreme Court, and let's say I don't have the media, whatever. What do I have to do? Well, you have to put in the policies that you ran on. And you have to do it quickly. You have to do it within 100 days. And since you have to do it within 100 days, you can't do everything. You have to do the important things. So I would just go in there and build down the government. I would just, in my first 100 days, first of all, if it were really truly up to me, I would say everybody, I would say as I took my oath of office, my inaugural speech would be, I will not accept a second term, period. Second terms of presidents are useless, worthless. Nothing ever happens in a second term that's any good. I won't inflict that on the American people. It would make me happy to know that there's somebody behind me, maybe my vice president choice or whatever, who can continue on the same tradition of philosophy, but I am going to do this in 4 years. So first of all, people know that you're not just doing this for the power. You're going to walk away from power. You're going to pull a Cincinnatus and a Washington. You're going to walk away from power. Mr. President, even if your numbers are in the 80%, I will not seek or accept a second term. That's the first thing I would say, because then people would know I was serious about the business of the nation and not about the business of Bill Whittle. That's the first thing out of my mouth. I would decline publicly. I'd swear an oath on a Bible that I would not accept a second term. Because then you're saying this is not about me, it's not about my popularity, and it's not about my, what's the word I'm looking for? Legacy. It's about fixing these problems. Many of these problems are going to be tough to fix. We've let them go for 50 years. And in order to fix them, we're going to have to do unpleasant things. We're going to have to get a lot of haircuts all across this country. That's not going to be a popular position to take. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not worried about my popularity numbers. I'm not worried about what my numbers are going to be on Election Day. I don't care, because I'm not running again. I am doing what has to be done to save this republic. And here's what I think we need to do. We're going to abolish the Department of Education. We're going to abolish the Department of Energy. We're going to pass legislation within the first 100 days that says that we will reduce the number of regulations in this country by 25% per year for each one of the years that I'm president. Not a total of 100%, but 25%, and then 25% of that, 25% of that. And we're going to get down to the brass tacks of what regulations are important, because some of them are. We're going to do that. We're going to reduce taxes. We're going to put the people's money back in their own pockets, and we are going to ruthlessly eliminate any business subsidies at all, period. If people don't get subsidies, and we don't think they should, then businesses can't either. If you can't survive by selling things to the American people at a fair price voluntarily, then you don't deserve to be in business. You're not a good businessman. You're making businessmen look bad. If General Motors can't sell a car at a profit, then General Motors is just going to have to go away, and somebody will come along with Colonel Motors or Major Motors or some other smaller version of General Motors, and that company will sell cars that will sell for a profit, and then they'll be General Motors. And after 50 years of them being successful, they'll get big, fat, and fossilized too, and somebody else will come up and knock them off. That's how it's supposed to be. Closing General Motors does not mean that all of those factories are bulldozed over, and it doesn't mean all those people are taken out and shot. It just means that General Motors as an organization with legal contracts is done. Can you put a company in there that can make a profit? Yes or no? Because I can find people who can. But as president, I don't have to. It's not my job to find people who can. My job is to get out of the way. There are people out there who are much smarter than me, much, much, much smarter than me, and they are able to work with other smart people that they select, and they can do anything they want to. They can make solar cells that either make solar panels that either cost less than they're worth or they don't, but they're not getting any money from me to do it or from you at gunpoint. If they can make a profitable solar panel, then go for it. Because if they can save you money through their product, you will have to buy it. You'll buy it out of choice. I don't have to make you buy anything. EPA is going to go as we know it. We are going to maintain the Environmental Protection Agency as a means of protecting the environment, but not as a means of shutting down capitalism. We're going to make this country not only energy independent, we're going to be a net exporter of energy. Much of our horrific deficit that we have run up through incompetence and greed is going to be paid off by the ingenuity and hard work of our energy sector and the blessings of this amazing country. We're going to go out there and we're going to find oil and we're going to sell it. And we're going to sell it to the American people, we're going to sell it to the world, and we're going to pay our debt down, and we can have the Saudis pay us trillions of dollars a year for however many years they want to so they can keep their gold-plated toilets or whatever they spent their money on over there. Boom, just like that. I would make sure that our military was lean but powerful and strong and had our full support, and I would steer very, very, very carefully away from gold-plated weapon systems and concentrate on what's working, what is effective, I would concentrate on readiness, I'd concentrate on training, I'd concentrate on supply, I'd concentrate on retention of key personnel, I would raise everybody's salary, and I would make sure that what we have works, because we got a lot of stuff. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 key areas where technology was absolutely essential, things like missile defense, energy weapons, air superiority, drones, these kind of things, I put a lot of money into because that's the tip of the spear. Those are the things we have to have in order to stay dominant. And I don't want parity with the Chinese. I don't want the word America, China, and parity ever to be spoken in the same sentence ever again, period, ever. I don't want anybody on this planet to think they can mess with us. And they wouldn't have to either. They wouldn't have to. I would have something that was so tight and so ready. And my personal attitude as president when I'm negotiating with people like Fidel Castro or any of these clowns. When I'm talking to the Iranians, and I don't think I'd ever talk to them directly, but if I'm in the same room with an Iranian leadership, or if I'm being asked questions by a press corps, I would want to project a quality that basically said, he seems like a reasonable guy, but just look in his eyes. This lunatic Bill Whittle president, this guy really wants to bomb the daylights out of these guys. That's the air I would project. I would basically say, we got these, 12, 14 carrier battle groups? That's a lot of firepower. We've never seen these things really go. We've never seen these things really in action. I'm kind of curious to know what it would look like to see 7,000 cruise missiles just appear suddenly out of the water. I think that'd be a cool thing to see on TV. That's what I would project to foreign leaders. I would project the sense of, this guy really thinks. He really thinks that his people can do this. Oh, you're damn right our people can do it. I don't have to think that. I know they can do it. Give us a chance. Come on, give us a chance. We put all this money into all these weapons. Let's see if they work. I know they work. Don't mess with us, because we will do it. I'm not talking about blow up the world. I'm just saying, parity? No. Nope. Somebody just pointed out Winston Smith, the great screen name, said that was British policy. And Britain would spend whatever it took. For 100 years they did this. It was British naval policy that the Royal Navy will be able to defeat the combined fleets of the second and third most powerful fleets in the world. And the Royal Navy, for 100 years, the British Empire spent whatever it took to make sure that the Royal Navy could handily defeat an alliance of the second and third most powerful navies in Europe. That is the sound of a civilization that's serious about its survival and serious about its perpetuation. And I would reinstall that. Man, I would just be like, boy, you have no idea. You have no idea how much we're waiting. I know the liberal media back home, and I know that my predecessors and all the progressives here in America have given you the idea that our armed forces just consists of kind of like the bottom dwellers of our society, all those poor disadvantaged idiots who didn't have a chance to succeed in business, and basically that the Army or the Navy or the Air Force, Marines or Coast Guard, it's kind of a dole for the stupid people. But let me tell you something, man. I've stood on the deck of a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and I've seen F-18 Hornets take off into typhoons. And these people want to fight. They want to fight. They want to fight. They're not running from a fight. They're not waiting to go home. They want the fight. That's what they want. They want to fight. Don't piss me off, because if you do, I'm going to let these people loose on you, and you will not like the consequences of that. If I let these naval commanders loose on you, if I let these Air Force majors and colonels loose, I'm not talking about the generals. I'm talking about the guys who are sitting in the cockpit. There are second lieutenants and majors and colonels who are dying to get up in the air right now, right this second, and pickle off 14 AMRAAMs at your incoming fleet and turn around before you even see us on your radar. They're just dying to do it. Don't piss us off. I'm telling you, man, we would have this country back on a rail, and everybody would be able to participate. And the one thing we would have to do domestically through the Department of Justice is we would have to make sure that the playing field is as level as human effort can make it. That means no one is locked out. No one. No one is locked out because they're a minority. No one's locked out because they're white. No one's locked out because they're rich. No one's locked out because they're poor. It is my Department of Justice would live to make sure that institutional barriers to opportunity do not exist. Period. And if I had a government that got out of the way of business, there's so much coiled prosperity. There's so much capital. There's so much money. There's so much effort ready to go. There's so much work ready to be done. If we just got out of their way, if we just pulled the stakes off of our own selves like Gulliver and just sat up on the beach, it just would blow people's minds. It would blow their minds. I would develop nuclear energy like there's no tomorrow. I would put so many power plants in this country. I'd have people in Arizona. I'd have them growing rice in the desert. I would. I'd have. What are you doing? We have a plan to grow rice in the desert. Well, first of all, you don't need my approval because I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor. So just out of curiosity, what's your plan? Our plan is we're going to set up a series of nuclear reactors, and we're going to have a series of aqueducts and pumps, and we're going to pump seawater in from the Gulf of Mexico or wherever, and we're going to run a 450-mile-long pipeline to the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to pump in a whole mess of water, and we're going to use nuclear power to pump it in, and we're going to use nuclear power to do the desalination, and we're going to grow rice in the desert. That sounds fascinating. Good luck with your venture. I'd love to see it succeed. You're not getting a federal penny to help you, but if you can convince other businessmen that this thing is sound, then my God, it would make my day to come down to Tucson and go out there with you in the rice paddies and pick a little rice, just as a means of showing people what you could do. That's what I would do. I'd get out of their way. I'd just get out of their way. I'd get out of their way. I would make the kind of regulations I would enforce are things like airline maintenance regulations. I am not a Randian in the sense that says, oh, no, every business owner will, of course, pay full money to comply fully with safety regulations. We know that's not true. It's just the world doesn't work like that. I would enforce airline maintenance regulations, but I would not have a single regulation preventing somebody from getting in the airline business. If they met the safety regulations, if the training regulations were there, those kind of regulations are important and good. It's important and good that you have to pass an ATP, an airline transport pilot rating, in order to fly large numbers of passengers, because I've seen the training that these guys get, and they're worth every penny of it. And there are airlines and there are people out there who could save money by hiring private pilots, and that would pay downstream. People would pay for that. So I would have very simple, very easy to understand regulations that were very simple, and I'd get the hell out of the way. And we'd never lose another election. I'd watch it all from the sidelines, because 4 years later, after everything was humming and everybody was making money and everybody's getting rich, and we're slowly starting to bring people back off the dole and back out into the world, and they can understand what a paycheck means, and getting out of the tenements and getting into their own apartment complex with their own televisions, their own iPhones, I'd let 4 years of that go by, and then I would say, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great honor and a great pleasure serving this amazing nation that has given me so many opportunities. I am now returning to my home in California, which is once again the freest and least regulated state in the union, due to the outstanding work done by Governor Clavin, and I am going to retire to a nice coastal house, which I've worked very hard for in private money prior to taking this job. And I'm going to watch this magnificent country take off like a rocket. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless you all. Boom. That's what I would do.